You guys are making me laugh so much, I don't know if I can get on focus here. Okay. This is Carl Farinelli. We're having our small group meeting on June the 19th, 2017. And so the two courses that you are taking, you're taking both courses, and that is that you're taking PR, but you're also taking Fundamentals of Public School Administration.
Yes.
So I'm trying to answer things for PR in a way that will also generally apply to both classes.
Right.
Okay. So you had a couple of questions. Let's take one of those. You were actually in the program under the old standards.
Yes.
But then you took a break and you reapplied, and when you came back, it was after the fall of 2014.
Yes.
Yeah, so you technically are on the new standards then.
Okay.
If you had continuously been in and only been out one semester, then it would have been your choice.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So for all those other scholars, don't be confused. We have very few people left that are on the old standards. So almost everybody now is on new standards.
Okay.
It was really tough when I had it half and half a couple semesters ago, because I kept having to address in the syllabus both groups. So if you accidentally open the old syllabus rather than using the little blue letter syllabus, you know, with the latest edition,
Right.
if you accidentally open the old one, it might have still had saying old standards and new standards. And so after the 2 or 3 people left on the old standards are gone, I'll clean that up, and probably by next semester it'll only say new standards. Okay, so don't be messed up by that, just do new standards.
Okay.
New standards, the big difference, the one, you know, there's several differences, but the big difference is that now you do in every one of your school administration classes, not the general education classes, but in the school administration block, you do one assignment in each of those classes that you also submit to the program portfolio.
Okay.
Now, you haven't really looked at program portfolio because this is your, what, second semester?
Right.
So program portfolio is not, you know, I mean, we do allow you to do those program portfolio assignments as 1 week or 1 session. In the summer it's 1 day. As 1 session we allow you to spend on that program portfolio assignment. And as I just pointed out, I try to make it to where all of these other assignments, or several of the other assignments, give you material that you can include in the portfolio assignment.
Right.
So if you work really smart on that and do like you're doing, ask lots of questions and come in for the optional live sessions or watch the videos, then you can actually save yourself a lot of work on your portfolio.
Right.
So when you get to the week down here, session 14 in PR, for example, where you're finishing up putting all this stuff together into a portfolio, the survey results, anything you learn from looking at the other districts' plans, all of that, and you write your own assessment of what you would do as a leader based on the survey results, based on the research that you did, and based on your own good judgment.
Right.
You know, and your own intelligence and good heart and all of that. What you would do for that portfolio assignment. So in PR, it's your final communication plan. In Fundamentals of Public School Administration, it's what you would do for your teacher in service. Y'all call those
Staff development.
Staff development, for
Yeah.
staff development. You know, all of those are things that you could use the other assignments to build up to if you want.
Right.
You don't have to, but that's, you know, that's where you wag the curriculum. I would also say, someone like you that is so sequential, if you could think all the way down to the next to the last semester when you're taking internship 1. Have you taken research already?
Yes.
Okay, did you do a research project that you might revamp and use when you get to internship 1 or not?
I don't think so.
Okay, because, you know, if you come see me before you start, I advise my people to wait either until the semester before internship or the semester of intern 1 and do it at the same time as research,
Right.
so they can make it the same project.
Right.
And so I'm going to give you that same advice now. In any of your classes you take with me, try to do these projects in such a way that they would support what you might want to do for your instructional improvement project in intern 1.
Okay.
hard to think that far ahead, right? But if you can, and once again, doing that simple Gantt chart where you list all of the assignments that you know you're going to have to do in all your classes, and then do a timeline of the semesters you're going to be here, you can sometimes use this as one type of graphic analyzer that will help you plan.
Okay.
It's what principals and superintendents have to do all the time.
Right.
So really what you're doing here is you're building the kinds of skills you're going to need to keep a school on track, or a school district on track,
Right.
right? So you're going to learn to use these charts to your advantage, and you're a chart person anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yes, that makes sense. But back to the program portfolio.
Okay, the program portfolio.
How?
Going now. When Dr. Farrell has his site back up and running, since they knocked him out of Blackboard
Okay.
by upgrading Blackboard, he says he'll have that back up by the end of June. When he has that back up, go in there and look at the rubric. And I have the old rubric, but it changes for you. Probably will be a little different, but look at, it's basically improving instruction for your school. And it could be very specific. You could be looking at one grade level. You could be looking at all the grade levels. You could be looking at one subject. You could be looking at all the subjects. So I don't know, have you been through in your school doing a vertical and horizontal alignment of the curriculum?
Yes.
That's what we're talking about basically.
Okay.
What people who are totally lost and who come to me and say, help me with my intern 1 project, whether they're in my class or not, if they had me for curriculum development, I'll remind them of the idea of the 5th curriculum, those things that kids will really use. So whether it is, character development, learning to work in teams, caring about, being a service leadership where they go and help students that are in lower grades, read to them, help them with skills. Could be as simple as some of your kids who really get, what grade are you?
Kinder.
So think about if a 2nd grader or a 1st grader, or even a 3rd grader, if you get one from each of those classes, some of the sharpest kids who've had the most success, come down to kindergarten and say to your kids at the beginning of school, now guys, really pay attention to your teacher, because she's going to teach you some things that will really help you in 1st grade, and will really help you in 2nd grade, and will really help you in 3rd grade. Let me tell you what some of those things are. How much more would they pay attention if a big kid said that to them?
Mm-hmm. A lot.
And the big kid is building character by coming back and modeling for the little ones, right?
Right.
If we had every kid do that all the way through college, 12th graders talking to 11th graders, 10th graders,
Mm-hmm.
if we had the kids who were leaders in the school going back and then being service leadership, which is mentoring
Right.
the younger ones. I mean, just think about if we could do that across all grade levels, across all subjects. Now, I don't know how that would help them on the state test, but it should. The test should test that kind of stuff.
Right.
How much they care about the other kids.
Right.
Shouldn't just test that I can beat you on a math test. It should also test that I care about how well you do on the math test. Right?
Right.
And so that would be one of those things. I mean, when you talk about justice in the world, or justice in the United States, justice for women, justice for minorities, kids who care about that, you don't just, if you're part of a privileged group, you should care about the people who are not part of a privileged group, right?
Right.
And go serve them and help them and say, here's how you can do it. That's what made Oyesa such a great man, because even though he only spoke the Lakota language and didn't know anything about the majority culture's world, he thought his father was dead when his father came back after 7 years and wasn't dead, had been in a fort prison for 7 years. And he said, I saw so many of their feet going by, there's no way that we can defeat them. He said, Oyesa, go learn their ways, but don't forget your ways. Be excellent in both cultures. Be bicultural.
Right.
And of course, he went to Boston College, became a medical doctor, gathered the bodies of Wounded Knee, helped start the Boy Scouts. Oyesa was such a great man. We know him as Charles Eastman, but Oyesa, excellent in both cultures, and he never forgot his people. He never forgot his language. He never forgot their celebrations. And he even taught many of those things to scouts of all races. You know,
Yeah.
and I mean that's why we're teachers. That's what we do. You know, we're not only trying to teach the bright ones. We're only trying to teach the male ones. We're only trying to teach the white ones. We're trying to teach them all, right?
Right.
And if we teach them to do that, then they become servant leaders.
Right.
You know, and you know that I think that could be a perfect thing to teach up and down the curriculum and across, because all subjects could do that.
Right.
And one way you could do it would be for the top math kids to go back and work with the lower grade math kids and say, this is what you're going to need. Top English kids, go back and talk to the lower English kids, say, this is what you're going to need. Top history kids, top science kids, if they went back and mentored the ones, or went over into maybe some of the special groups that are having learning differences, and said, you know, you're cool, you have learning differences, but you're still cool, and I can help you do well in this. You know, even though you're different, even though you act differently than me, because of your learning differences, I want you to do well. I'm your buddy. You know, study buddies are great. So, and y'all are doing some of that in your district.
Yes.
It's one of your things. I'm kind of preaching to the choir here,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So, how are we doing time-wise? Where are we? Okay, so, I mean, that to me, rather than just teaching to the test, which is the fourth curriculum, teach to the test and the fifth curriculum the character of your kids.
Right.
You know, let testing be a part of it, but then go help the other kids get ready for testing.
Right.
And help them get ready for life, help them get ready for next grade. Go back and say, you know, you may be struggling this year, but if you'll focus on these things and listen to your teacher, next year can be better.
Right.
Be like the three little boys, you know, that they didn't know how to do this and the teacher didn't help them. They didn't have the fifth curriculum thing going on, but the three little boys figured it out on their own. You know what they did? The three little boys that were A students had a little buddy that was making C's and D's and was thinking of dropping out. So guess what they did on their tests? They started making C's and D's so he wouldn't drop out, even though they made A's and B's easily. That's character.
Yeah, it is.
Their grades might have been less, but I think their grade, character-wise, was A++.
Right.
Right?
Right.
I mean, that story right there happens many times. How many times do kids sometimes dumb down to make their buddies be encouraged and not feel so badly about how poorly they're doing in school?
Right.
Yeah. So if we show them other ways to do it rather than flunking the test, other ways to be study buddies, we could avoid them trying to figure it out on their own and hurting their own score.
Right.
Does that help you with your idea of that portfolio, what it could be?
Yes. Yes,
Okay.
definitely. But when it tells that I need to post it not only for the class but for the portfolio, I don't need to worry about that until it's open back up.
Yeah, you can't post it until he gets
Okay.
open back up.
Okay.
And unfortunately, I can't go in and fill out the rubric for you so that you get double credit until it opens back up.
Okay.
So if he doesn't get it open back up, where you can post by the end of this semester, if you can't do that until fall, then email me and say, Dr. Farinelli, it finally opened back up, and I took that portfolio project that you gave me 100 for, and I posted it. Would you go fill out the rubric so I get all my points on the rubric?
Okay.
You don't, if I give you 100 on it, you don't want somebody else filling out the rubric.
No.
Okay?
Okay.
Okay.